Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Practice Better's Better Business Conversations. My name is Jen Miller, and I am a business success coach with Practice Better. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by our guest, Laura Schoenfeld, who is going to be sharing with us all about how choosing a niche can simplify and scale your nutrition business. So welcome, Laura.
Thanks for having me, Jen. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. And I just wanted to give a little intro for anyone who's new to Laura. So, Laura is a registered dietitian. She's a women's health expert, a business coach for integrative and functional dietitians and nutritionists. Laura's mission is to educate women on how to nourish their bodies, minds, and spirits, and to help nutrition professionals grow and scale a successful business. Amazing. So as you can see, Laura carries a wealth of knowledge, and we are so excited to learn from you today, Laura. So thanks again for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And it's funny because one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about the topic that we're going to talk about today is because I struggled with it for so long myself. And so it's something that I have a lot of experience choosing and re-choosing and choosing again, like just have been through a lot of iterations in my business. And after having been in business for over 8 years now, I've just realized that there's so much stuff that your business requires a niche for, that if you want to grow past a certain point or even grow faster than what you're able to do without a niche, it really makes such a huge difference. So I'm going to share my screen. So let me get that up and let me just make sure you can see that, right?
Yeah, it looks great, Laura. Perfect.
And ironically, I'm wearing the exact same top. I was not planning that. So,
I know.
and Jen already introduced me, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little quick intro because it is something that over the last year I have really fully pivoted into serving nutrition business owners and helping them grow their businesses. And again, a lot of that passion came from doing it all myself since 2014 was when I officially started my business, although I've been online since 2011. So it's about 10 years now that I've been doing online business marketing, all of that. And I just started to develop a lot of passion for helping other nutritionists be more successful in their business, particularly because we don't really learn any of this stuff in our nutrition programs. And even if you do, a lot of times it's just kind of scratching the surface, and they give you a little bit about business and marketing, but it's so simple and not really something that really prepares you for the challenges of running an online business. So now I did want to give people a little context because when someone like me is talking about this kind of topic, it might be easy for people to say, oh, well, of course she knows what she's doing. She's been on her business for a lot longer. And like, obviously, that's why she's able to be successful or whatever. And I just wanted to share this image with you all to kind of put things into context about where I started in my business. This was my little brochure that I wrote when I started my business back in early 2014. And basically, this is a masterclass in what not to do with running your business and marketing and creating messaging around your target audience. So if you look at what's on here, hopefully it's not too small, people can see it. If you read any of this, it is the most vague, generic, like completely not to the point at all about what I was supposedly providing to my clients. And I honestly don't think that this brochure did anything for me as far as getting people to want to work with me. But it's just really funny because when I read it, I see things like on the left, it says good nutrition promotes healing and ensures good health and wellness. And it's like, yeah, and what does that even mean? Or if you go to the right hand column, all of those specialties, there was like 15 bullet points there of all my quote unquote specialties. And how is that even possible to have a specialty in all of those different areas? So I like sharing this because I feel like it gives people a little bit of, I think it's hilarious to see this, first of all. And second of all, I think it's just nice to know that even when you see entrepreneurs that are more successful and have things that supposedly look really polished and all put together, just know that we all start from square one. And a lot of times the way that my business looked when I first started is going to look the same, if not maybe even less put together than yours does. So anyway, I just like to share that so that people know where I'm coming from. Because like I said, I struggled a lot with picking a niche when I first started my business. And it took me a while to really realize that that was actually holding me back from the success I wanted to have. So I did want to talk today about, first of all, what a niche is, and second of all, why do you need one? And I noticed that the word niche gets thrown around a lot in the nutrition and health space. And I love this meme from The Princess Bride where, gosh, I forget what the guy's name is, but the guy that's like, you killed my father, prepare to die. He says, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. And that's how I feel about the word niche, because when I've talked to a lot of different nutritionists and healthcare providers about niching and what their thoughts are about niching, what they think a niche is a lot of times not actually what niching is when it comes to an online business. And I believe that having a false understanding of what a niche is actually can prevent you from picking a niche and being able to use it to grow your business. From a big picture perspective, and this goes beyond just health businesses, a niche market is just a segment of a larger market, and it's defined by its own unique needs, preferences, or identity that makes it different from the market at large. This came from Shopify, so as you can tell, this is pretty much just the generic definition of a niche market. And it's not that this isn't true. Yes, we do start to funnel down from a bigger picture market into a smaller market with a niche. But there's a lot more to it that we need to be thinking about. And it goes well beyond just, identifying your person's hair color or their age bracket or something like that. Now, if you are watching this, I assume that you're in the larger market of health and nutrition potentially. I know that the Practice Better community is more than just dietitians and nutritionists, but pretty much most of you, if not all of you, are going to have the health market as being like the big market that you're in. And I'm assuming that most of you are here to get more defined. If you're watching this video, hopefully that means that you're interested in niching and why it would be beneficial for your business. But when we think about the market of health, obviously there's a lot of different types of health conditions that you could be focused on, different populations, all of that. So when we're thinking about niching, again, it goes beyond just the specific health condition that somebody has, but that can be part of it. So before we get into how niching is going to affect your business, I want to talk about niching from the lens of something called market sophistication. So this is something that I've learned about from my coaches that are not in the health space. And I actually feel it's very, very relevant to businesses in the health space to understand what market sophistication is and how it affects their business, particularly in the current environment that we're in with health businesses online being like way, way, way more popular than they ever were before. Like when I started my business in 2014, people thought it was like unusual that I had an online component to my business. And now 7 years later, everybody was basically forced online in 2020. So online health and nutrition businesses are way more common than they ever were before. And this is where market sophistication is going to come into play. So the concept of market sophistication comes from a book called Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. And this book was written in the 1960s. So you would think, oh, it was, 60 years old. How could it possibly be relevant today? But the crazy thing about marketing, even in the way that our world has changed with online marketing and virtual stuff, honestly, the principles are the same as they were 60 years ago. And that's why, to me, it's really important to understand these principles. So even as the landscape changes, you can still use the same principles that are based on human psychology and sales behavior. So the big question that Schwartz asks us in the book when it comes to market sophistication is, how many similar products have your customers been told about before? In the health space, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of different types of products and solutions that are under that big umbrella of the health niche. So when we start to narrow it down to the way that we work with our customers, in a lot of cases, they have seen a lot of different products. So in Schwartz's explanation of market sophistication, he has different levels. The first level is when there's no other services or products in your particular market, and you can just focus on people becoming aware that there's a solution. The easiest example to understand this that I've thought of is cell phones. So if you remember when smartphones first came out, I think it was like 2010 or 2009 that they really became popular. The only reason why I remember that is because I was in Australia when they came out and I got home and I was like, what are these crazy phones that everybody has? But and I think it was the iPhone, maybe it was the first one. We'll just pretend it was just for the example's sake. When the iPhone first came out, all they had to do was show us, the consumers, that, hey, look at this smartphone that now exists. You want a smartphone, here's the smartphone that you want to buy. So that was the first one in the market. And all they had to do was just show us that smartphones are here. You want a smartphone, let's go for it. As we know, over the last 10 years, smartphones have gotten a lot more popular, lots of different versions, lots of different companies making them. So as new products start to come into the market, that's where companies need to start focusing on how your particular product or solution gets better results for people. So in the iPhone example, instead of iPhones just being, this is the only smartphone that exists and this is what you're going to get if you want an iPhone, maybe the Samsung Galaxy came out and they started talking about how their camera was better or their apps were better, that kind of thing that was showing how their product was better than the original product that existed. So again, with the health space, there's not a small number of products in the industry. There's lots of products, so we can't just focus on how our solution gets better results. If there's many other products and maybe your prospect has actually bought a few, then what you have to start doing is showing them that you have a new methodology for them to actually get the result. This is where most of the nutrition and health space falls into, where there's lots of other options out there. And for a lot of us, our clients have actually tried a few different things to help them get the results that they want to get. So we can't just show that we have a solution. We can't just say that our solution's better. We really need to start talking about how the way that we solve the problem for our clients is actually more effective and new compared to what they've seen before. With the cell phone example, if the iPhone starts coming out with even better cameras and that kind of thing, they might have like a whole new system for taking photos that now they're advertising. So that's something that's better than just having a camera on the phone. And then finally, if there's other products using a similar methodology, then we kind of go back to that, showing that our service is better. So if there's other service providers out there that have a similar strategy to you to help them or help their customers get results, we need to then start focusing on, well, what makes our methodology work better, faster, more efficiently, get better results, all of that kind of thing. And then the final stage of market sophistication is where the market gets to a level that they no longer either want or believe in a solution. And that's where competitors start to drop out of the market. We're not even close to that with the nutrition and health space just yet, but if that ever became an issue, you would start to see people not even offering the service anymore. I don't honestly think this is going to be an issue for us for a long time because there's so many health conditions that need help and there's so many people that are struggling. And so the idea that this would ever happen in the health space, at least in the next several decades, is probably pretty unlikely. But just to use an example, if you were someone who was making horse and buggy, like carts in the early 1900s, and you kept focusing on making the best buggy out there, and then all of a sudden cars are created, nobody really wants a buggy anymore. So to keep trying to show how your buggy was so awesome probably wouldn't have been a very good business strategy. So you would have had to kind of drop out of that, that particular business. Again, I don't see that happening with the nutrition space, but what I really see is that the nutrition, and I would say the health field in general, is in what the third stage of sophistication is, where we can't just say that we have a solution. We can't just say that our solution is better. We actually need to start focusing on creating new and better methodology for helping to solve our clients' problems. And so hopefully that makes sense. Jen, I'm just going to pause for a second. Does that all make sense as far as the different stages of sophistication in the market and how that affects how we need to actually show up and talk about our services?
Absolutely, Laura. And I love that example of, this is something that's universal to any product, right? It's not just in the health and wellness space, but I think how you describe that, it really does make sense and helps to really give you that frame of mind for, where it is that you want to come in when you are looking at sort of the methodology and that side of things.
Mhm. Well, and I don't feel like we're taught this in our, my nutrition program, we didn't get taught how to come up with our own methodology for helping people or creating some kind of marketing around our methodology. But this is what all of the other successful industries in the world, like you said, it's not just the health industry, it's all of industry in any sort of area of, business or service providing, all of that, it all falls under this challenge of market sophistication. And in the health space, we need to be aware of these forces that are happening in the market, because if we're just showing up and saying, I'm a dietitian, I put my dietitian hat on, and now I'm just going to get a bunch of clients that want to work with me, because the market is I hate to use the word crowded because I don't believe that it's too crowded to be successful, but there's a lot more people running online health businesses now than ever before. And so we can't just show up and say, well, I'm a credentialed provider, so that means that's why you should work with me. We have to really have in our messaging, our marketing, and the way that we're presenting our business, how we're different than other providers out there and how we do it differently so that our clients get better results. And to be able to do that, honestly, that's where a niche comes into play. Because if you're going to create a methodology for solving a problem for your client, the methodology has to be based on having a specific problem. So if you try to create a methodology that works for every single different health condition out there, for every different type of person out there, the likelihood that it's going to actually be a very good solution is pretty low. Whereas if you start to get more defined in who you help, what specific challenges that they have from a health perspective, is there anything about them as unique individuals that means you have to approach it differently? Being able to create the methodology based on that problem that your client wants solved is the way that we need to be moving forward in the health and wellness marketing space, because otherwise we're not going to stand out. We're not going to really capture the attention of people that want to get help with that problem. And what honestly ends up happening is clients start to price shop. So if your service looks identical to what other people are offering, the person is going to seek out the lowest price service rather than saying, well, this person's service looks the best, so I'm going to go with this particular provider. So this is really, really important because, again, no matter what niche you're in, whether or not it's super crowded or not, you have to be able to show clients why they should choose you to work with, why they should spend their hard-earned money with you, why they should spend their time working with you. And just telling them that, well, I have a dietetics degree or I'm a, chiropractor. Unfortunately, that's not enough anymore. And we have to be able to show them what makes our service different, what makes it unique, what makes it different than what they've tried, and why is it going to work better for them than the things that they've experienced before. Now, one thing that's really important to know about niching, this is another area of confusion that I see with a lot of health providers. Your niche is not just your methodology or your nutrition philosophy. When I first started my business, that was kind of the quote unquote niche that I had. And again, it wasn't a very crowded space. There weren't that many people online. So me showing up as someone who is a paleo dietitian, that was enough of a distinguishing factor for people to want to work with me. But over time, that just became something that, there's hundreds and thousands of people that do that kind of methodology, and it's no longer something that's actually a niche. So when we're creating a niche, we have to figure out what the specific problem that we solve for our target audience is. It's not how we solve that problem. It's not, our nutrition philosophy. It's not our training or our credentials. It's what is the actual problem that we solve for our audience, and what is our unique methodology for solving that particular problem. So what that means is that overall nutrition is not a niche. And again, I speak mostly to nutritionists, but you could fill this in the blank with acupuncture is not a niche, or chiropractic work is not a niche. So those are not niches. Those are specialties that maybe you're trained in, but that's not how you're going to show up in your marketing. We could even take it a step further. I work with a lot of integrative and functional dietitians. Just calling yourself a functional nutritionist, that's not a niche. That's not enough. People don't really care if you're a functional nutritionist. They want to know if you can actually solve their problem. Same goes with things like intuitive eating. I know that this is a really popular methodology that people are using now, and a lot of people are marketing themselves as intuitive eating dietitians, nutritionists, coaches. This is not a niche. Yes, you can use it as a methodology, but if you're showing up with 100 other people talking about being an intuitive eating coach, you're not going to stand out, and people are not necessarily going to pick working with you over somebody else. And again, same goes with the specific dietary strategy. If you recommend paleo, vegan or vegetarian, keto, any of that stuff, you can use those as part of your methodology, but that is not the actual problem that someone's dealing with. And so that's why it's not a niche. So all of those examples are broad methodologies that you can use as a tool to solve a specific problem that your clients have. But when we're thinking about actually selecting your focus with your marketing, your messaging, the way that you're building your business, you need to have that specific problem that your ideal clients have that you can solve for them. And so ultimately, when we combine the market sophistication with that issue of needing to solve a specific problem, that's where we combine our specific methodology with the specific problem that we solve. And that's what allows us to stand out in the health market, the nutrition market, whatever market you're in the online space. You need these two things to really stand out. And just to kind of, I don't want to say hammer things home, but I like to give different reasons why you should take the time to choose a niche. Again, it's something that I struggled with for a long time. It was a few years that I was really being pretty vague about the kind of people I worked with. And because I had gotten in early enough, I did get some early traction. So because there weren't that many online nutritionists and not a lot of them were doing more of the ancestral paleo type of nutrition, I was able to build a business relatively quickly from the beginning, but I hit a wall pretty fast. I think really in like year 2, I was already kind of maxed out in my ability to bring in revenue. And that was because I was trying to help everybody with everything. I didn't have a specific focus. I was, working with lots of different types of health conditions. And even though I had a full one-on-one practice, that was pretty much where I got stuck after a period of time. So just to get into why we want to niche, I want to just give you all permission that you do not have to niche. This was something that when I was struggling with it and people were like, you have to pick a niche, you have to pick a niche, I was like so resistant to doing it. And sometimes you do have to just kind of come to it on your own path, or like kind of come to the conclusion on your own when you realize what your business is missing because you're not niching. But I just want to make sure you know, because I know sometimes people argue and say, well, my business is doing fine without a niche. Yeah, maybe it's doing well. And if you have the business that you want to have, technically you don't have to niche. But if you're in a position where you want to grow, you want to have more revenue coming in, you want to reach more people, you want to really scale your business, this is where niching is going to come into play. So if you're, I don't want to say not happy, because you could be happy with how things are, but want more for your business. Or if you know that there's just so much more that you could be accomplishing than what you've been able to do without a niche, that's where the niche is going to come into play. And I truly believe that failing to niche effectively is one of the biggest stumbling blocks holding back health and nutrition entrepreneurs from the level of success they desire in their business. So again, you can hit a certain point and get to a certain level without a niche, but there's going to be a period of time where not niching is going to be your limiting factor. So I have 5 core reasons that you should choose a niche if this is something that you're interested in seeing growth in your business. The first, and probably the most applicable to any stage of business, is that it's easier to find ideal clients. If you don't know who you work with and you don't have any sort of parameters around your ideal client, you're going to end up working with a lot of different types of people, and not all of those people are going to be ideal clients. Either they're going to have a problem that you don't really know how to solve and you feel guilty that you're not really helping them. Maybe their personality isn't really a good match and it's really stressful for you to work with them. Maybe it's just a lot more work to serve certain types of clients than what you really want to be doing. And so if you don't have any sort of niche parameters and you're just going out and working with anyone on any problem, you're going to end up having way more clients that you're not excited about working with. And I can tell you, having been in business for 8 years now, working with people that you don't enjoy working with is not a good way to build a business. Like, you're just going to get burnt out so quickly and you're going to start resenting the business that you've built. And so as much as humanly possible, getting the people that you want to work with, that you enjoy working with, and that you're good at helping is going to be something that helps fill your cup while you're also running a more effective and profitable business. Another complaint that I hear from a lot of my clients is that they have no idea what to create content on. So whether that's written content like blogs, social media, if they were going to do a podcast, they just don't know what to talk about. And I think a big reason why that happens for a lot of health professionals online is that they don't know who they're talking to. So if you just show up and you're thinking, I need to write something or I need to create something about nutrition, but you have no clue who you're actually creating it for, it's going to be really difficult to create content. Like, just in general, creating content with no audience is very difficult. At best, you might create some stuff that's kind of vague and not very attractive. Like, looking back at that brochure that I was showing you guys in the beginning, that was content I created with no audience in mind. And it was super vague, like not very attractive to anybody. It wasn't compelling. If somebody picked that up, they wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I have to work with this person. They'd probably be like, it doesn't really look like they're going to be able to help me. So we want to be able to create any of our content for a specific audience because it's going to make it easier for you to just produce in general. And it's going to be easier for you to create stuff that actually attracts the people that you want to work with. Another mindset block that a lot of my clients run into in the health and nutrition space is imposter syndrome. And a lot of people feel that they don't have a lot to offer, especially if they're new to an online business or new to business in general. They question their expertise. They question, why would somebody want to work with me? What do I have that they couldn't get from one of these big gurus that are out there? And again, with niching, one of the reasons why I suggest choosing a niche is because it actually allows you to become an expert. We can't be experts in every single health condition that exists, even though that's how we get taught in our training programs. Like I know for me, I got a master's degree in public health and my registered dietitian degree. We learned a little bit about a lot, right? Like we learned a little bit of stuff about a lot of different conditions. And so it's no wonder that when you leave school, you don't necessarily feel like an expert, even though you do have expertise in training. So when you pick a niche, what that allows you to do is really get focused in on one topic that you want to become an expert in and commit to growing your skills and knowledge and education in that area. So it's really making it so much easier for you to actually develop expertise and not try to be an expert in 20 different topics. Again, using my brochure as the example, the 15 bullet points on all the expertise that I had surface level knowledge in all of those areas, but I would never have considered myself a true expert in any of those areas. And that's because I was spreading myself too thin. So if you go in on a specific topic, you have way more opportunity to become an expert very quickly. Side note, also, nobody's going to give you permission to call yourself an expert. So some of this really is a mindset issue as well when it comes to imposter syndrome. But I think the antidote to imposter syndrome is continuing to learn more. And again, if you're niched, you have a smaller collection of stuff you have to know because you're working with one type of client or condition. Another thing that I love about niching is how it affects your ability to get your clients results. This is something I've definitely noticed in both my health consulting and my business coaching programs. When I came up with a specific methodology for a specific problem that my clients were coming to me with, I was able to create systems and processes around how I helped my clients get results. And I felt way more prepared when someone came to me, knowing exactly the process I was going to take them through. And ultimately, that actually led to them getting better results, faster results, just more results in general. So I know for me and a lot of my clients, like getting results for our clients is really, really important. I'm sure most of you listening are the same way. You don't want to just like take money from someone and not actually help them. So when you have a niche, it allows you to get way more competent in being able to help them get results. You're able to test and refine your process. You're able to get a lot more reps under your belt. Like, you just see more people with that particular issue. And over time, you're actually going to be able to develop a much quicker system for helping people than if you're trying to help all different types of people with all different types of conditions. And then when you're able to create more of like a group program or an online program, you can actually create stuff that allows them to get results without you even being involved. And actually, that's the fifth reason why I recommend choosing a niche, especially for anybody who feels maxed out on their one-on-one. So this was something that I hit pretty quickly. I think it was like my second year of business was pretty much fully booked out with one-on-one clients. And yes, you can always raise your prices. Like that's kind of an easy way to make more money when you're maxed out with one-on-one. But you do kind of hit a place at some point where you're like, I'm not really comfortable raising my prices much more than this. And you realize that the only way your business is going to keep growing is by creating one-to-many type of program. So whether that's group coaching or something that they can just buy from you, like a DIY program, you absolutely must have a niche picked to be able to create a group or scalable program. I've done it before where my niche was a little vague and I tried to like fit too many different types of problems into the same program. And not only was it difficult to really help people get results in those programs, but it was almost impossible to sell because I couldn't actually talk about what problem the program solved. It was super vague, just like, oh yeah, you're going to learn how to like eat and move and feel better and all of that. And just for obvious reasons, wasn't super attractive to people to spend their hard-earned money on joining a program that they didn't even know what they were going to get from it. So not only building the program will be easier, but marketing it will be not only easier, but honestly, I feel like it's not even possible to effectively market a non-niched group program. And so if you have any interest in creating scalable programs, you're going to have to pick a niche to do that. And I just would love to invite you guys to pause and just think through which of those 5 reasons that I mentioned resonate with you the most, where you're at in your business. Because maybe you're brand new to business and you're not worried about running out of space for one-on-one just yet, but maybe you're more concerned about just getting clients in the first place, or getting clients that you feel confident that you can help. Or like I said, maybe you're like I was, where your one-on-one practice got totally full and you felt like there was really nowhere else for you to go other than doing group programs to continue growing and reaching more people. And if you want to do a group program, you have to be able to focus on a specific problem that you solve. So wherever you are in your business, whether it's creating, like you're struggling to create content, you don't know where to find clients, you don't know how to talk to clients so that they believe that you can help them, you don't really feel confident that you can get people results, so you're having imposter syndrome, all of these different things are going to be helped tremendously by having a niche. And so if you're feeling any of those frustrations or challenges, just know that picking a niche is going to make a huge impact on overcoming those. Okay, I'm going to pause, because that's really the why we need to be thinking about the market sophistication piece in the health space, having a specific problem we solve and a specific methodology that's unique to our business, and then looking at what can change in our business when we narrow down our niche and we figure out who we're working with and what problem we're solving for people. Any questions about that, Jen?
I think that's awesome, Laura. Yeah. And I think as you were sort of sharing those 5 reasons, I thought it's really interesting, sort of that imposter syndrome piece and kind of that mindset, because I think in each one of those that you mentioned, all of those would sort of contribute to helping imposter syndrome in a way, right? Because it's like, okay, we're going to work on being able to create more compelling content. And in that process of creating that compelling content, that will build our confidence too. And then that, imposter syndrome piece, will go down. Getting your clients results, that's going to build your confidence too. Then that imposter syndrome piece will go down. So I loved that. And that's sort of where my mind was going, and sort of the through line of all of it is really, there's just such a benefit from not only sort of your business perspective and helping your clients, but also your own, internal mindset and confidence in that side of things too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even just the amount of time you can save in helping your clients when you don't have to create a brand new methodology for each person that you work with. And just knowing that, like, yeah, you can adjust it and personalize it. We're not saying everybody's going to be this like cookie cutter approach, but if you have an overall strategy that generally works for people, you have somewhere to start from. And then if you need to adjust as, the client is working through the process, that's going to be so much easier for you to confidently execute than if you take someone on and you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just start from the beginning here and invent it as we go on. So it's something that I've noticed for sure not only saves time and energy in serving clients, but also helps you get better results for people. And that, I mean, you can't really sidestep that part of growing a business. Like when you're first new to it, there's going to be some lack of confidence because you haven't necessarily helped a lot of people yet. So being able to really speed up the process of becoming confident and being able to get a system under your belt that's working for people, that will allow your business to grow so much faster. And happy customers are one of the biggest business growers, right? Like being able to actually help people, and then they're going to be willing to share testimonials and tell their friends about you. That's going to grow your business so much quicker than, again, like kind of limping along trying to create something that serves 10 different types of clients rather than just one core type of client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that testimonials piece, because I was thinking that too as you were sharing that. And I mean, it's like you said, it's just such a powerful form of marketing. And, for potential clients, hearing from people you've worked with, I mean, that right there can sell them in itself. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and definitely in niching down, it's much easier to build that momentum and getting those testimonials. And then again, just bringing back that confidence piece, like once you're getting all those testimonials, that builds your confidence and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just so many benefits to it.
Yeah. And then if we think about even when we're searching for a service provider for ourselves, like I always think about the way that I've niched into helping nutrition business owners. In theory, I could work with lots of different types of business owners, right? Like a lot of what I've learned does not just apply to the nutrition space, But because I've niched down into nutrition business owners, my potential clients see me as being someone who could be more effective at helping their business than if I was just this generic coach. So it's the same thing with the health space. If you're going to choose between a dietitian that has a brochure like I had that has 15 different specialties, or you see somebody who says, I specialize in helping women with PCOS get their periods back so they can get pregnant, and that's what issue you're dealing with, like which one are you going to be more attracted to, and which one are you going to be willing to invest more time and money into working with? So we have to kind of put ourselves in our clients' shoes and think, like, what are they looking for? And the way that the landscape has changed with so many people coming online is that people have a huge amount of variety to pick from. And so if they're presented with someone who's a specialist versus someone who's a generalist, they're going to pick the specialist in most cases. So it's just something that the more we can be a specialist in a certain area, the faster we're going to grow our audience, the faster we're going to get clients, the faster they'll get results. And then as they're getting results, all of that feeds back into, creating demand for our services.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so obviously, you've gone through and we've talked through all the benefits of doing this, of niching down. And why do you think some practitioners might feel resistant to doing it, or what might be some of like the roadblocks that they would
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you what I was concerned about
Mhm.
when I was trying to pick my niche back in the day. So I know for me, a big concern was that I was going to lose all of this knowledge that I had gained over the course of years, not only in my dietetics program, but also working, like I worked for a functional medicine expert in the field starting in 2012. So at that point, I've been like years of working with just this super broad niche. And so, and again, like it was the paleo ancestral health niche, but that wasn't very specific. So there was this fear that I was going to like not be able to use all the skills that I had developed. Um, there was also the fear of not being able to find enough people or not being able to get enough clients. Like, oh, how could I have enough clients if I close off to just these types of people? I'm going to miss out on all this potential, clients that would want to work with me, and that could stop the growth of my business. um I think also just the fear of getting bored is another one. People are like, oh well, if I'm just working with the same people all the time, I'm going to get bored in my business. And to me, honestly, at this stage of business that I'm in, after working in my business for, again, going on 8 years now, I would love to be bored in my business. Like, I would love to just have like a moment where it's like, oh, things are really easy and chill, and like there's no challenges. I'm so bored. Like, it's something that I've literally never ever gotten to a place where I was bored, because business, there's always challenges that you can overcome. And something that one of my mentors, James Wedmore, always says, that's kind of a little bit of like a tough love comment on that one, is your business isn't here to entertain you. So if you're ever bored in your business, then maybe get a hobby, or like, do something in your personal life that could keep you interested and entertained. So again, I think the likelihood that anyone's going to ever get bored in their business is pretty low. If you ever do get to that place and it's a level of boredom that like you feel apathetic towards your clients, then you may want to think about pivoting to a different direction. But the likelihood that you're ever going to get to a place where your business is just so easy to execute that you're bored and this is, a problem, is, I just don't think it's very likely. And I know, you've been on the entrepreneurial journey yourself, and I'm sure you could uh, agree that there's never really a time where things just get like super easy and boring.
No, definitely not. No, and I even think as you niche, it's almost there's almost more like option for creativity and things like that, because you have something specific to focus on, and then it's like, okay, what are the different ways I can market this, or how can I get creative with how I can help people in this specific thing, instead of feeling a little bit of like analysis paralysis sometimes when it's too broad, and then
Mhm.
it's hard to get creative and that kind of thing. So it's like, well, I could do this and this and this, and then there's just like millions of options. Whereas when you have a specific focus, it's a little more fun to get creative, if that makes sense. That's sort of my
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I feel like so much of business is simply just coming up with creative ways to solve problems. So if you have 1,000 different problems that you could potentially be solving for people, getting that enough attention and time put into the creativity for it is just basically impossible. Whereas if you have a couple of core problems that your clients deal with, you can get a lot more creative about how do we solve that problem and what are the different ways and what are the different tools I can develop, and just really getting all your brain energy going into a few select problems that your audience deals with, as opposed to trying to come up with different ways to solve all the different problems that exist, or even like a large number of problems. So for sure, I agree. Like it's just, it takes so much pressure off of you when you don't have to try to solve, 50 different problems that a potential client could have.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Wow. Well, Laura, thank you so much. I mean, this was hugely valuable. I know our community is just going to really love this session. And I mean, niching is such a, popular topic in terms of, it's on practitioners' minds. And I think in really diving into all the benefits and having this conversation, it's hugely valuable in their journey to, if they're interested in picking a niche. So thank you so much. And yeah, where can our community go to learn more and connect with you?
So I wanted to share a special offer with the people that are watching this. So actually, let me share my screen again so you can get the right information. So I have a workshop that actually takes people through the full process of identifying the niche that they want to build their business on and coming up with the marketing and messaging around that niche. So it's called the Profitable Nutrition Niche Workshop. Now, in theory, it could certainly work for any healthcare provider. I just, again, just to kind of get meta on you, I call it the Nutrition Niche Workshop because I work with nutritionists primarily, but it is really something that I believe would be valuable for any healthcare provider. So you can actually get 50% off this workshop with the code bbc 2021. So BBC stands for Better Business Conversations, and then this is the year 2021. So if you go to lauraschoenfeld.com/niche, you can get access to that and put the code in and you'll get the 50% off. And then alternatively, I have lots of content on that website as well as my original health website, which is lauraschoenfeldrd.com. And I also am, I'd say for social media, mostly active on Instagram, and that's at Laura Schoenfeld RD.
Amazing. Wow. Well, thank you for that offer, Laura. That's so generous. And hopefully our community will find that really valuable. And yeah, if anyone's listening that really, was intrigued by today's session and really wants to dive deeper into maybe even how to pick their niche and that side of things, then that will be really, really valuable for you. So yeah, thank you so much, Laura. So appreciative of your time. It's always so nice to chat with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jen.
Okay, take care.